Welcome to Benny's Designs. This is a live stream, impromptu Saturday afternoon or Saturday morning, depending where you are on the planet. It's it's 7:20 in the UK in the evening. So I have to make this a fairly quick video because my daughter's come home from uni. I haven't seen it yet. So I'm scratching a bit of colour from my Inktense blocks, from my Inktense pencils, and so I want to know, is there a big difference between them? And I've had these for such a long time and I love them, and I love them in my little book of colours here, because I have a lot of control over that really rich, dense colour when I have it in a little paper palette. So I've scratched, and the corresponding colours for the pencils obviously is the same. There's 72 Inktense blocks, there's 72 Inktense pencils. So I'm going to pop that onto there. So I'm using the riggers because they give this really nice blended effect, and I really like the watercolour effect. It didn't work so well up here, but I've not really played with the pencils so much. That was the pastels, that was the pencils. It worked quite well with the pastels when I did the cat in another video, so I like the pastels for the blendability, I have to say. They seem to be rather softer and just that little bit easier to blend, but there's more colour in. I'm not sure if there's more colour actually. So for that size, the only difference you've got to do is to change the size of the rigger for the size that you need. So if you wanted that all pink, just blend it straight through. But if you wanted it to be a kind of a watercolour effect, I've actually put too much in there, but it should be okay. It'll still give a nice blend, so it'll be fine. I'll just zoom in a little bit and then you can see how it's going, and you can see a bit more kind of so I'm going to use my number 1 rigger. It's quite fine, is that one, but what I want to do is to activate this colour and then blend it out a little bit. So I've got kind of a soft, I probably put too much colour on there, so I don't have as lovely highlight as I would have liked, but never mind. You just activate that pink and then manipulate it out, and the rigger does all the hard work. It just makes sure you get a really nice soft blend. Not quite zoomed in enough, I don't think. So I've changed the position of the camera and it keeps it's keeping me out a bit. So it needs to be well activated and then teased out. And I might go for the bit bigger brush actually, I think. No, maybe that was alright. So this is the fuchsia pink, and then the corresponding colour fuchsia pink. Just seem to have got a line on there. This is something you've got to be careful of. Once you start, you can't stop with Inktense because you get an unnatural line. You have to have a natural blend. But of course you've got these wonderful bright colours. They are very, very bright, those pinks. That fuchsia pink is very bright. Now it's always slightly easier to move the camera down than it is to move the book. So this one is the fuchsia pink. Oops, now you see what I've done, I've smudged that. So again, you've got to be that little bit careful, because again, it's not a pencil. It's very much like a pastel, and I've smudged that across the page because I'd forgotten about that. Because that was lower down. I should have done it the other way around, really. So again, you've got to be careful with that. You've got to think about where you're putting your colour. So I need to blend that to a nice, activate it to a colour, and then blend it out. Activate it and then blend it out. So, and I've just realised what I've done what I've done wrong, but never mind, I'll just do this one. And then I did this in the last one. Sometimes you get in such a nice peaceful zone that you forget what you're doing. So apologies for that. I'm going to actually very quickly sorry, apologies, Alfie's playing with his ball. He's throwing it for himself and he's running for it. Yes, little man plays on his own. So I just very quickly, this is a little bit of a bendy brush, this. And I want to go back to these. So what I should be doing is taking my rigger and taking my fuchsia pink and activating a tiny bit on the brush, and I'll have a tail feather. So if we look at a tail feather, and again, you can't mess about now, you've got to go for it because it will dry. So I now need a fuchsia pink. So my fuchsia pink is here. So I'm doing this over the page, but if you splash, you will end up with a splash. If you were doing this, you would do this off to the side. So I've activated that colour with a damp brush, and then I want to take that up to there. So the first one was pastel, or the block. The second one was pencil, and the third one was block, and this one's pencil. So pencil, activated, so that's all wet and activated, and it's a watercolour, and it's blended to the end. Clean the brush. So they're actually reacting exactly the same. So you can get the same vibrancy by doing that. So what you can do now is again take that colour, and the rigger has made it kind of stronger. So you can get the same effect. There is a nice softer wash, although I'll try that from here, but again you see that's why I don't like using it from here. But if I use the fuchsia pink from my little book of colours, it will be completely different. So fuchsia pink is here, fuchsia pink. So I've got a pale amount and I've got a strong amount. So if I touch this bit here, that's quite strong, but the idea is to just keep going. So you've got more control if you have it on here than if you take it from the end of the pencil. So if you have the pencils, you can scratch your colours and you've got your deep, strong colour, and then you have your very pale colour. So you have more control with the pencils and the scratch square. Having said that, if you control everything with the brush, you can get some beautiful soft pastel shades. Very, very soft. So I think practicing with both, practicing with either one you have is the is probably easiest. I wouldn't say buy both, I would say buy one and use it in different ways. If you scratch a lot of colour with the pencil, you're going to get some really rich colours. If you scratch a little bit of colour, you're going to get less, and if you use it from a paper palette, you get some very subtle pale colours. And the same with using a rigger brush. You can get some really nice soft from the edge. Oh, hi Bright Meadow, welcome to Bunny's Designs. Yes, Suzanne, I must admit that's a good question. I prefer to work, I like working with the blocks. I loved when I did the cat page. It was very quick and very easy, but I like my paper palette, and I'm not sure, because I haven't tried yet, if I can get these. They are in my paper palette, but they're very dusty. They're here. This is my original set. So as you can see, they're quite dusty. Now I think that is probably fuchsia pink. I'm guessing that's fuchsia pink, and they've been in my colour book for 2 or 3 years, so let's see just how vibrant they are. So this is my colour book. Yeah, I'm guessing that's fuchsia pink. So if I didn't have my pencils, they wouldn't be as controlled as they are in this form. So that's the fuchsia pink with the pencil, and that's the fuchsia pink in the Inktense block, and of course they're very dusty and there isn't a lot of colour on there. There's about a layer and a bit, but there's definitely 3 layers on here. 3 complete layers of pencil scratched on there, which lasts a long time. So there's 2 ways to look at that. I love my little book and the fact the pencils stay at home, but I have all this colour. Oh, welcome back, Mara. Welcome back to Bunny's Designs. So it's a difficult one. I'm glad I bought the blocks. They're going to be good for my poorly hands, which is partly why I bought them. Because scratching with these pencils is really difficult. If you haven't got your thumbs, you can't be very precise. And my thumbs are failing fast. So the pastels are quite lovely to just scratch. I have to say I really like them. Let's have a green. What's that one? That's a vivid green. So again, if we do that scratching vivid green, which is 1330. So if you get 1330, and scratch there, that was easier. That looks a different colour. Looks a different colour, so that's not going to look right, but never mind. So when you activate it, that was a bit wet, that. The pastel is more like it blends better, I think, into a watercolour. Just so, but of course then it's not in its proper state, is it? It was the same colour. So there's very little in it. It just depends on what you want it for, I think is probably the best way to describe it. If you just put the tiniest bit of purple there, I'll do every other one then and see what we can see. I can't see them being much difference, except for there's more binder in this one. That's 750, so let's find 750. So it was slightly easier to put that, it's not as much pressure, so they're all identical now. They are, if I just get this little brush, and apologies, I just have to turn this around to so the pencil is slightly stronger. The pastel immediately softens to a watercolour and almost disintegrates. It just becomes, as I say, it just melts into the water, whereas the pencil, you've just got to give it a kind of a bit more oomph. But there's very little in manipulating either one of them. So if you can see Some have blended slightly better. The one that's blended completely out is the pastel, the block. The one that's darkest at the beginning, sorry it's out of focus, that's the pencil. So they've tended to kind of pencil is, oopsie, I've done that wrong as well, never mind, I'll do the one underneath it in pastel. What did we say that was? 750. 750, come out, 750. So we'll do the underneath ones. There we go then. And so the pastel pencil is a bit stronger, and when it's first activated you've got to kind of really blend it. But the pastels blocks act very much like pastels. The minute the water touches them, they kind of just disintegrate into colour. They dissolve, sorry, that's a better word. They dissolve into colour better, shall we say. Easier. But again, that depends. So that means that the pencils will go further and are stronger to begin with. So if we want a really dark, vivid start, then the pencils will be slightly better. So I hope that made a bit more sense. I like the fact that you can still manipulate them, but I have to say, at the moment the blocks, the best term is they kind of they dissolve instantly, whereas the pencils you have to rub a little bit. But then you've got more versatility in a pencil. So again, it depends on what you want. So if I just scratch a bit of colour up there, which is 250. If I look for 250 on this one. $240, that must be 250. Same amount of colour. Whoopsie. Little brush. So again, it's to do with the binder. The binder is obviously, there's more pigment than binder in the blocks, and the binder is a bit stronger. In the pencil, but you get the same effect. It's just it just as soon as you touched it, it completely dissolved, whereas the pencil just needs that little bit more. So that's another little comparison with our pencils. If I think of anything else to do with them, I'll have a look. I'm a bit cross that I've dropped two, but never mind, it's okay. Oh, sorry, the cat did. So I shall pan out, and there isn't technically much in it. It's, do you prefer working with pencils? Now the advantage of the pastels is I would think you could blend two together. So you could blend, I don't know if you can blend them. Now I can't really blend because my hands are bad, but let's just see what we can do with this. Of course you can blend them because you do different colours, so you can put different colours together to make different colours. Does that make sense? Whereas the blocks, I suppose you could do the same with the blocks, I would think. But of course you don't just have the 72 colours, you've got kind of thousands of combinations, so now I've got kind of a dull colour mixed with a very vibrant colour. So there's lots of things that you can do. And then we could put some red there and some yellow there. And a little bit of green there, and then we could blend those together. So if you start with the yellow, get some really weird colours, but they do just kind of melt together. So you'll need to be from the lightest first, and then you can take that one back to that one. And I'll just do this one here to show that we can do the same with this one. So start with the palest first. Oh, I didn't clean the brush out properly. And that's a bit wetter than I'd like to work with, but you seem to have got a lovely soft. Lovely soft colour. So I'm going to pan out and show you the differences. Again, it depends on how you use them. If you can get the same effect from each, just different. The pencils can do that really vibrancy thing, and the washes can do the blocks can do a little bit stronger colour. Looking for my pen. So I hope that was helpful. Oops, that wasn't any good. Any good? Was it? So I hope you found that interesting, and there's a little bit of a comparison between the Inktense blocks and the Inktense pencils. Thanks for watching.